Hey guys, what's up? It's just Connor here. Hope you're having an amazing day as per usual. Today's video is going to be an interesting topic. I don't think many people within my space, at least with a following, talk about this topic nearly enough as they should. And I talk about my following, like 860 subscribers. Big me, big celebrity. But jokes aside, what I want to talk about today is what I would class as the dark side of high ticket sales. Now, you're probably wondering, thinking, is this the recurring theme that you talk about all the time, Connor, through your entire YouTube channel, which is like marketers versus sales guys, your realistic expectations and timelines with, making money online, what that looks like, equipping people with the skills they actually need to be successful with high ticket sales. And it's actually not. The dark side of high ticket sales is what I would call is a question of ethics. And the topic I want to talk about today is the ethics when it comes to selling, and particular high ticket sales. Now, this video is going to be really, really important for you, even if you're an experienced sales rep or you're looking to get in this industry. I think this will still have a monetary result of more money that you could have made if you sell the right thing. And it's also going to really help with generally how you feel as a person in general, and making sure that you feel like you're walking around with good conscience and you feel good about what you're selling. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Blanket rule, in my belief, many sales trainers, sales coaches like to think different ways about ethics when it comes to sales. And obviously, there's differing opinions, thoughts, and beliefs. But for myself personally, what I've learned from mentors and what I've constructed myself is that if I believe that what I'm selling is in the prospect's best interest, and I know they can change the situation if they buy it, it's in my ethical and moral obligation to sell it to that person, right? Now, that might sound interesting to some of you who actually haven't been selling for a while, but let me explain. One of my biggest values in general, I would say, and the reason a lot of people book in calls actually is they feel like they can trust me, they feel like I'm a real person, which is very far and few between in this space, making money online, all that type of stuff. And one thing a lot of people talk about is, I talk about quite often, is that like one of my highest values as a person is integrity. And for me, that's such an important thing to have, because without integrity, what do we have? You know, I have many people who book in to speak to me about the RSA every single week, who I turn away and say, no, it's not a good fit. Whether or not it's from a psychological standpoint, I don't think they're ready for it. I don't think that they can attain the result that they're looking for here, and thus I recommend something else, or that they do something different. Or from a financial perspective, I think it's a bit of a stretch, and I don't think it, logistically makes sense. I think it's too much of a risk on their end. Whether or not, it's, their week to week, or it's just something that I don't think is in their financial best interest, and it's a huge risk that I'm not willing to take, I turn them away. And for myself personally, just to give you guys an actual understanding of what I mean by like ethics when it comes to selling. If you're wondering why I'm reaching forward here, I'm trying to hold the stand so the wind doesn't actually blow it down. But when it comes to like the ethics of selling, I'm going to give you a few scenarios. I'm going to tell a few stories from my personal experience so you can take away some things. But when it comes to ethics of selling and why it's so important to me, at least in my belief, is that there's really two reasons, three really. See if I can remember all three that I just spoke about. So the first one is good conscience and just being a good human, right? If we don't have good ethics, we don't have good integrity behind what we're selling, then what's the point, right? You're just being an asshole at that point. You're not really you're not doing any good in the world. You're not really adding impact. You're not really helping people. So there's really no point, right? If you're selling not within integrity. The second reason is from a financial point of view, from like a commissions point of view, the offer isn't going to last that long anyway. Because if it's a scam and it doesn't deliver great results for their clients, word gets around, and especially because that is actually illegal, they're not going to be around for very long. Okay, so it's very, very important to understand it from that element. But the third element is your reputation, right? As to why ethics in selling is really important. The high ticket sales industry is very, very small. It may feel very large to you, but I can guarantee you everybody knows everybody, and you're just one connection, one bad relationship away, one bad offer of being recognized as the guy that sells scammy offers away from a very bad reputation. And your reputation is incredibly, incredibly important in this industry. How you treat people, how you serve people. That's why, for me, we've been able to grow the RSA to where it has in such a short amount of time with just a YouTube channel and my Instagram. Like, no paid ads, no nothing. We haven't made any sales from paid ads yet, unfortunately. But we're getting there, but we're still a work in progress. But it's all come through YouTube, organic, and referral. And I think the reason why that is because word gets around. And when you provide people a great result, people tend to come back to you. And for me, when I set foot in this industry, a big decision that I made for myself personally was I'm never going to be that guy that does all these flashy bullshit, Ferrari, Lamborghini, blah, 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 right? I knew that I wanted to start my business when I first got into high ticket sales, but I knew that high ticket sales was a necessary skill to get me there. And I was so nervous and anxious to start the RSA for such a long time because I was always so conscious of the results that I was getting people. But the more that I found that I was so honest and transparent about the timelines and the results of that, like time and effort that it takes to get to people there, a lot of people resonate with that because it actually is the truth behind how long, how much you have to invest, how hard you have to work to actually get to where you want to go. And for me, myself, I guess being one of my highest values of integrity is I think it's really, really important to evaluate is if what you're selling is not with an integrity, then it's not a thing that you should be selling at all for the reasons I spoke about before. But if I'm relating back to that point when it comes to the ethics and integrity is within question, you have to do that from your own belief and what you believe is right towards you. My ethics is going to be completely different to yours, and based on how you sell. There's 2 points of where I ethically make sure that someone is right for me to sell to. And that is, do I think they're prepared from a psychological point of view and a perspective? Do I think, from my observations, do I think there's someone that can actually do the work and do the stuff that they need to do to get to where they want to go and actually take advantage and work with the product? I'm going to tell you a second point in a second. We're going to give you an example of what I mean by that. I have, I won't say who in particular, but I've seen people in the past who they do very well in their business. They don't get the clients any results whatsoever. But the worst thing is that they sell people from a psychological point of view. I just don't think we're ready for that commitment or that investment or that next step in that journey. Yet they sold them into that, that offer, the opportunity in the first place. I can tell with a quick glance looking at their group calls that they have publicly available that the guys on that training call just aren't at a point where they're psychologically ready to actually do the things that they say that they want. And that's sometimes a very tough conversation that I have to have with people who book in to talk to me about the RSA because I'm not going to work with you if I don't think I'm going to get you results. That's the whole point of why I got in this industry or like why I started the RSA is because I truly want to help people, right? That's the big difference. I'm not trying to create a training program that scales to millions and millions and millions of dollars per year. I actually care about people, right? And so that's the first point. Again, do you think that they're psychologically ready? And then the second point is, from a actual financial perspective, do you think this is the right decision for someone? And this is going to depend on person to person, but if you feel like your product or your training or whatever you're selling is going to help that person get out of the hole that they're in financially, and you think that they can do that with an appropriate level of risk, then by all means, I think it's appropriate to sell that person into that thing that you're selling. However, if you feel like the person's week to week, they're scraping by with payments, they've got a ton of credit card debt, student debt, whatever it is, I don't think it's the best thing to sell that person into what you're offering. And again, sales coaches, sales trainers alike are going to have different opinions and thoughts on this. But myself personally, it just doesn't feel right for me to do that, and it doesn't feel good to do so. I'm going to give you an example of how, when I was selling in the business opportunity industry, how this took effect and took place. So there was an offer that I was selling in the business opportunity space that was I sold it for about a year or so. Great guy, great company, great delivery, some of the best I've ever seen. And I still have students that reach out to me that I sold, years ago, saying, dude, thank you so much. Like, I'm at 20, 30, 40K per month right now. Changed my life. Thank you for objection handling me for the 30 minutes that you did. That conversation changed my life, which is really, really cool to hear. And I absolutely love that. But there was a conversation that I had, which was actually the final sales call I took for this offer. And the offer that I was selling was what we would class as business opportunity. And it helps people make money by starting their own digital marketing agency, learn the skills to do so. And there was a new mum, with her, boyfriend or partner. It was just her by herself, but it was a woman from New Zealand. Remember it very distinctly. And she was week to week, and she really didn't have a lot of funding put aside to allocate towards this, and she'd be taking a very big risk if she was doing it. And it was even a long-term payment plan on a credit card. And as I was selling her, I just felt very uncomfortable. I didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. I don't think it was the smartest decision for her to do at the given time. But 1 second, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna get rid of this thing so you guys can hear me. All right, I'm back. That's probably gonna be the first cut you're gonna see in these types of videos. I just can't be able to re-recording this. So, anyways, we're back. So where was I? So it just didn't feel like ethically to sell this woman into the program. It was the right thing to do. Yet I was continuing to do it, and I got what was called a credit card hang up. Now, a credit card hang up in the high ticket sales industry or as a salesperson is basically meant to be worn with a badge of honor. If you didn't pressure someone into doing something and they literally felt so persuaded and influenced that they had to make a change about the situation and they literally just couldn't tell you no, they imploded, they left the call, that is actually a good thing. But for me at that point, I just was such a sigh of relief that she didn't buy what I was selling. And I think I had a relatively tough week in commissions, so I was just basically selling anybody that I could get my hands on, long story short. And I was very grateful that she left the call because it didn't feel right to sell her into that at all. And right after I had that call, I called the businessman I was working with, Zane, and I said, dude, I can't continue to do this anymore. Like, it didn't feel within integrity. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right ethically. And for me, I think it's really, really important that, if you're selling an offer, you need to evaluate whether or not that person is psychologically ready, from a financial standpoint, ready to invest into that offer. And I think it's a really important thing to consider. Even a sales management offer that I looked on taking on more recently, was I asked the business owner before working with them, what's your client success rate? How long do you retain clients? All these type of things. Really, really important, not just from a can this business scale perspective and can I make the money perspective, but also from an ethical, moral point of view. Do you feel like you're going to be good actually selling this product? And with good conscience, do you think that you can do this on a daily, weekly, and a monthly basis? If not, probably not the thing that you want to be selling. Obviously, the few things of like, if it's higher than 20% in commissions, it's probably a bit of a red flag, and you'll make sure that you're looking out for that to make sure that the offer is actually going to make you the money. Sorry, that is a scam, or they're skimping on levels of fulfillment because they're paying low commission. Besides the point, I would say that the only other situations that I want to give you as far as like where ethics come into question is when I said a moment earlier when I started this video of if you believe that this person can benefit or change the situation with what you're selling, you have to sell them into it. It's your ethical and moral obligation. 100% believe that. And the situations I want to give you is if someone's overweight, they're obese, and they have kids they're taking care of, whatever it is, like the situation is very dire. And you know that if they don't fix the situation in regards to health, whatever it is that you're selling, you have to get that person over the line, right? I also can think of another situation before I go into that, which was the first sales call that I ever had was with an accountant named Kirsty. I remember this very specifically. Most people remember the first sales call, but I remember I didn't have the skills, the ability to get her over the line, to get her the help that she needed with her business. And for myself, from an ethics point of view, I have to live with that because I didn't have the skills capable to get her over the line, to make her change her mind and change her decision-making process to get to where she wanted to go. Because her business was struggling and she needed the help. And because I wasn't able to communicate why we can help her in the best way possible and help her influence and persuade herself, she would have stayed stuck for until her business ran out of business, or just completely, just maybe took a lot longer to get the results she wanted. And it's the same thing with fitness. If someone's on their way to an early grave, again, it's your ethical and moral obligation to sell that person into the fitness coaching offer that you're selling, right? You should fight tooth and nail, commission aside. You should fight tooth and nail to get that person to change the decision-making process and get access to what you're selling so they can change the situation, change their life, change their kid's life, change everyone around them life, right? That's not even a word, but you guys get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. So long story short, like I mentioned, it's just really, really important to understand the ethics of sales and going into what you're selling. Ask yourself those questions. Do I feel 100% certain this person is delivering the results that I'm claiming on these sales calls? Do I feel ethically and morally obligated to sell people if they have the problem? Because, if you don't, then it's not really a worthy thing for you to do in the longer term for the reasons I talked about throughout this entire video. So that's pretty much it for me, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. I know it's a little bit different, and it's a topic that we've never spoken about before. If you found this interesting, if you found it valuable, let me know down in the comments down below, or at least give the video a like so we can boost it with the algorithm and hopefully reach more people with my humble 860 subscribers. Yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Hopefully you got some value from it, some insights, and hopefully you learned some questions you can start asking yourself when it comes to the ethics of selling. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.